2015, it was my freshman year at Carroll University. We took cultural classes that eventually led us to going outside the United States and experience cultures that were different from our own. So basically, you had to apply every semester, or apply until you actually got in. I applied my freshman year and my sophomore year. And I was thinking to myself, I have to get into one by my senior year because otherwise I can't graduate. So I'm applying to all these random ones, and I come across some that I don't even know. So that was close to deadline. I applied to all of them. Over the course of the weeks, I just kept looking at my email, hoping and praying for something. Eventually, I got an email that said, "Congratulations, you are going to Guatemala." I'm thinking to myself, isn't that a third world country? How are we going to survive there if we can't eat or drink any of their food? Well, my questions were sort of answered. We had a preparation class, and during this class, my professor told us, well, this is what I can tell you, but it's going to be different than what you see. She just told us that basically they're going to give us food and water that we can drink. And that's the only thing I was worried about. So we got ready during that class, and it was about the end of the semester. It took place end of December in 2017. The morning of the 28th, I had to be to Carroll by 2 a.m. to drive to Chicago for our 8 a.m. flight. When we got to Chicago, we found out while we were checking in that our flight didn't leave later that day. So instead of having a 6-hour layover in Atlanta, we had a 6-hour layover in Chicago. So we were all upset. So we just sat there, talked, slept, did whatever until I was finally able to get on our plane to go to Atlanta. Get to Atlanta, we have to rush to our next plane to get to Guatemala on time. So after sitting there, we get to on the plane for 3 hours. We get to Guatemala at 1 a.m. Go to customs, met our driver and our tour guide. The first thing he told us was we had to get our bags on top of the van. So we all tied the bags on top, hoping nothing would fall out. Then he's like, okay, who's going to sit in the back? I said I would, because I knew I wouldn't get car sick. All their ground is gravels. So I'm like, okay. So I sat there the rest of the time. Got to the place, went to bed, woke up in the morning to get ready. And in the bathroom, you can't flush anything down the toilet or use their water. So we had to go out to the station where they had clean water for us, grab water from there, and bring it into our bathroom to use to get ready. Then we had to throw everything in the garbage. As we were ready to leave to go to the nutrition center and the temporary housing, I took in the view of people sleeping on the side of the road, selling food and clothes, and how dirty all the area was. Then you see kids just wandering wherever they want without people, without parents. So I asked the guide, aren't the rich taking care of the poor? Don't they care? He said, well, they don't really care about the people down here. They just care about themselves. So after taking all that in, we finally arrived to the nutrition center and the temporary housing. All the kids came running up to us and started talking to us in Spanish. The look on my face was very confused because I don't speak Spanish that well, and those kids do. So they saw our confused looks and they stopped talking. All the kids just looked confused too. They're like, why aren't you answering us? Then our tour guide told them that we don't speak Spanish. So then they went running off by themselves. Our first stop was in the nutrition center because they're right next to each other. Saw a girl who was 3 years old, but she looked like she was 12 to 24 months. Well, the parents didn't really give them nutritious food while she was growing up, so they took her in. So, took in the view there, talked to the kids, played with the kids. Then we headed over to the temporary housing. There was these 2 boys. They were both 13. And they wanted to learn English. So I told them, okay, I can teach you English if you teach me Spanish. So they agreed. One of the boys said, "Mi novia?" I was like, what? So he just started smiling and laughing and shaking his head. I laughed and went along with it, realizing that he said, my girlfriend? So that made me smile because after spending one day with him, he really appreciated me and saw that I had an impact on his life because he never gets to see people like us. So the weeks went on, or the days went by, and it was our last day there. The 13-year-old boyfriend came up to me and said, Vuelvo a casa contigo, which means I come home with you. I wanted to say yes, but I couldn't. I would feel bad if I would say yes. So I told him, one day I will be back just to see you. I cried, and so did he. The trip changed my life because it made me realize that we have everything and they have nothing. So to this day, I sponsor these two kids in hoping that I will see them again.